Hi, kindergarten. Happy Friday. All right, let's do a little review lesson of what we learned this week. So first, let's just do a tiny little review on social studies. Social studies, we were talking about communities, and we figured out that we're a part of several different communities, and each family might be a part of different communities too, but we're definitely all a part of the St. Francis community, our school community. Even if you're doing school from home, you're still a part of our community. And then you're a part of your neighborhood community. Maybe we all live in different neighborhoods, but maybe you know your neighbors and you help each other out. And we're all a part of our Austin community, the city that we live in. We all live in Austin, so we're all part of our Austin community too. All right, so then we also talked about different ways that we can strengthen the community. We learned that not every community is the same. Some communities have everything they need to be happy and healthy, and some communities don't. And we learned a little bit about the people in communities and how we can be active community members, which means we can strengthen our community. Even kids, even if you're a student, you can still be an active member of the community. You can still work to strengthen your community. And that's why we decided to do a food drive, because some of the members in the community are really active members of the community, and their jobs are to strengthen the community. And one of those groups of people we learned is Caritas. That's the name of the group of people. And they gather food and they give the food to people who need it in our community. And we figured out that they need to get that food from community members who have enough food, right? And that's us. The members of our St. Francis community, we have enough food. So we're going to be collecting it this week. And then next Friday, a week from today, don't worry, I'll have a video, I'll have my camera, and I'm going to drive to Caritas and I'm going to give them all the food that we're going to collect, and then they will give it to the people in the community that need it. So I have this for your parents, and it explains everything that we talked about, how we're going to do this food drive. Okay, so that was social studies this week. And then we also had 2 new letters we learned this week. And guess what? We only have 2 more letters to learn. Next week, we're going to learn Z and Q. And then we're done with all our letters. Oh my gosh. And then we get to start spelling words and stuff. It's really exciting. Okay, so the first letter we learned this week was, do you remember? It's the letter Y. Letter Y, it's a little tricky. Letter Y makes a Y sound. It doesn't sound anything like its name, Y. It doesn't sound anything like the name Y. It makes a Y sound, like yellow, like a yellow crayon. So we say Y, yellow, Y. Y, yellow, Y. Okay, your turn. Here's Echo. Echo says, hi, everybody. All right, my turn first, and then I'm going to show you Echo, and it'll be your turn. Y, yellow, Y. All right, your turn. Nice job. All right, and the next letter we learned was the letter, you remember it? Like you X something out, letter X. Letter X makes a X, X sound. Now, there's not a lot of words that start with the letter X, that start with a X sound. So they did a fox because fox ends with an X. Fox. X. Do you hear that X sound at the end of fox? Yeah. So for X, we say X, fox, X, X, fox. All right, my turn first, then I'm going to show you Echo, and it'll be your turn. X, fox, X. Your turn. Nice work. All right, let's practice writing them. We're going to practice writing upper and lowercase y. We're going to practice writing upper and lowercase x. So you can either use your dry erase board and marker if you have it at home, or if your dry erase board and marker is at school, you can use a pencil and you can use some paper. Maybe your parents printed out some lined paper with a skyline, plain line, and grass line on it. That's awesome. If they didn't print out line paper, that's okay. You can just use any piece of paper to practice, okay? All right, let's start practicing. So if you need to pause the video and get the things you need, you can. But if you're ready, we're gonna go ahead and start. Okay, first let's practice uppercase Y. Uppercase Y. We're gonna start at the skyline, and we're gonna do a little V. It looks like a lowercase v that's floating in the wrong lines, doesn't it? Look at that. That's the part that we just did of the Y. Now we need to do this line down. All right, so now we're going to put our marker at the pointy part, which should be right on the plane line. And we're just going to go straight down to the grass line. And that's how we do an uppercase Y. All right, I'll show you again. Let's practice one more time. We're going to start at the skyline. And we slant down to the plane line and slant back up to the skyline. Looks just like a lowercase v that's floating off, that's not in the right line so far. Then we're going to start at the pointy part on the plane line, and we just go straight down to the grass line. So make sure that your uppercase Y does not go above the skyline. Make sure it doesn't go below the grass line. Okay, I'm going to do a couple silly Ys, and you tell me what's wrong with them. All right, let's see here. I'll leave these up so we have those good ones to compare them to. Let's see here. Tell me what's wrong with that uppercase Y. Well, it's in the right lines. It's skyline to grass line. What's wrong with it? Ooh, look at this. This little V part. It's too little. Look, that should go all the way down to the plane line. Okay, let's try again. Okay, what's wrong with this uppercase Y? What's wrong with that one? It's in the right line, skyline to grass line. What's wrong with it? Oh my gosh, now the V part is too big. Now it goes below the plane line. Now it's too big. All right, let's do one more silly one and then we'll start some lowercase Y's. All right, what is wrong with this uppercase Y? Nothing. I was trying to trick you, but I probably couldn't trick you because y'all are so good at Y's. Okay, I'm going to erase my uppercase Y's and let's do some lowercase now. So remember, Y makes a y sound, like yellow. Okay, let's do lowercase. So lowercase, you get to go down to the worm line. Okay? All right. First, I'm going to show you how they do their lowercase y, and then I'm going to show you another way you can do it that might be a little bit easier, okay? All right, so we're going to start at the plane line, so put your pencil or your marker on the plane line, and we're going to do our little lowercase v down to the grass line, so grass line to plane line, but now we need to give it the tail down to the worm line. So we're going to start on this line, and we just keep on going to the worm line. So you can do lowercase y's like that, but if you do them like that, you could accidentally do them backwards. Because look, you could accidentally do your line to the worm line slanting that way, and that's a backwards Y. So, if you want to make sure that you never do lowercase y's backwards, you could do them like this. Start at the plane line and do your little V grass line to plane line, and then you could just go straight down to the worm line. And that way you really can't do it backwards, right? So that's one way to do a lowercase y that you can't do backwards. And look, it looks just like uppercase Y, except instead of skyline to grass line, we've moved it down to plane line to worm line. Look at that. So that might be a little bit easier of a way to do lowercase y's, but it's up to you, okay? All right, let's erase these lowercase y's and let's practice our next letter. Okay, so our next letter we learned was X, and X makes a x sound. X is pretty easy to do because uppercase X looks exactly like lowercase x, except uppercase X is bigger. So uppercase X goes from skyline to grass line. Lowercase x goes from plane line to grass line. All right, let's practice some. Let's do uppercase X first. So put your marker or your pencil on the skyline, and we're going to slant down to down to the grass line. And then put your marker and your pencil on the skyline again, but a little bit forward this time, and then slant backwards down to the grass line. All right, so there's uppercase X. The thing to make your uppercase X's look really good is to make sure that these two lines meet. They cross each other on the plane line. Try to get it as close to the plane line as you can. Okay? All right, let's try some lowercase x. And it's exactly the same, except it's littler. So lowercase x, we're going to start on the plane line. And we're going to slant down to the grass line. And then we're going to start on the plane line over here, a little bit forward. And we're going to slant down to the grass line. And that's how you do your lowercase x. So make sure uppercase x is not above the skyline. Make sure it doesn't go below the grass line. Make sure lowercase x doesn't go above the plane line. Make sure it doesn't go below the grass line. Okay, and remember, X makes a x sound, like fox at the end of fox. All right, everybody, I hope you have a really, really good weekend, and I'll see you Monday.